Hi, everyone. We are starting this episode in a little bit of an unusual way, and it's just going to be me for a little bit because I have gone through a pretty tragic loss. And in the grand scheme of things, it may seem minor because the world is hurting so badly from war and violence. But I lost my golden retriever, Eggy, who many of you may know, especially if you watch the show, because she would always make a little cameo behind me. And she was just a couple weeks shy of her 16th birthday. And that is pretty incredible given that golden retrievers usually have a lifespan of 10 to 13 years. But she was my heart, she was my soul. And I lost her on October 14th, so pretty recently. And yesterday, I actually picked up her ashes and they gave me a sweet paw print of her. So she is back with me. But I just wanted to take some time to tell the story of Eggy because it is a pretty extraordinary one. And I wrote um, about it because I think that's the easiest way for me to tell you the story without just meandering. So it starts like this. The story of Eggy begins in Singapore, a hot and humid island nation 85 miles from the equator. Not quite the typical home to a big furry golden retriever. In 2007, I had lost my beloved adopted yellow Labrador retriever, Scuba, whom I had brought with me from the US when I moved to Singapore for a job. He had been my constant companion for 8 years since I rescued him in New York. He was 5 years old at the time. So losing him was heart crushing. Just like so many pet parents, suffering the loss of a fur baby makes you question whether you can go through it again. The pain is too great, the emptiness too stark. But then somehow, the wounded heart begins yearning for the love of another dog, not to fill a hole, but to expand its capacity. It took me a full year to feel ready to adopt again, but the question was, does Singapore have a culture of rescuing animals or is it uncommon? Remember, this was back in 2008. After doing a little research, I found a small private rescue group called Noah's Ark. When I called the founder, and I cannot remember her name to save my life, she enthusiastically told me about the dogs they were caring for and available for adoption. She went on to say that the bigger dogs were harder to find homes for because Singaporeans still weren't used to the idea of big dogs as pets. Didn't surprise me because of my own experience with Scuba. When I would take him for walks, it was like the parting of the Red Sea. People would make way in fear of the gentlest Labrador retriever one could ever possibly encounter. So, because of my experience, it wasn't a tough sell for me to consider adopting another big dog. She told me more about a 1 year old female golden retriever that had been recently rescued from a terrible situation. A woman had purchased the purebred because it was considered prestigious. She named the dog Crystal. What a god awful name. Unfortunately, like many new dog owners at the time in Singapore, she didn't know how to actually take care of a dog, nor did she really want to learn. So instead, she locked up the pup in a tiny bathroom in her government housing unit and never let her out. The abuse was so bad that a neighbor finally called Noah's Ark to and told them about the situation. A highly unusual act by a Singaporean to get involved in someone else's business. When the volunteers arrived, they found a scrawny pup with open sores on her legs and rear end from sitting in her own urine for so long. She also had a UTI, and the most heartbreaking part, when they took her outside to the lawn, she just stood there because she had never seen or touched grass before. Needless to say, the pup needed a lot of TLC. And the most ridiculous part of the story is when the volunteers were leaving, the the neglectful owner had the nerve to ask, "Could I come visit her sometime?" Answer, absolutely not. So after hearing the story, of course, I had no choice but to jump at the chance to adopt Crystal. Like any good rescue group, I had to be vetted, which included a supervised meeting with the dog at my place. It was love at first sight, of course, for both of us. I knew this girl was for me, and she knew she had found her forever home. I could see that she still needed to recover from her traumatic first year of life, but I looked at her perfectly coal lined eyes that she was a fighter with a giant heart. First order of business, a new name. Crystal had to go. What to name her? What to name her? I thought to myself. And I just thought, she's such a sweet baby girl. And that was it. She's a baby. She's an Eggy, which means baby in Korean. Eggy. Her name is going to be Eggy. Just the absolute perfect name for my perfect fur baby. So Eggy came to me at a time when I was pretty lost and confused and quite frankly, pretty lonely in Singapore. After leaving a coveted job as lead anchor at CNBC Asia, um, a talk show I had launched with high hopes didn't quite take off after the first grueling year. My personal life was at a standstill after having come close to an engagement. Thanks, sweet Jesus, that didn't happen. And living in Singapore just wasn't feeling right anymore. Eggy gave me hope and a new outlook, which inspired me to get off my ass. That meant moving to California, a place I had wanted to return to at some point. But unlike using the emotional support pet policy, which got scuba into business class from LA to Singapore, that was probably one of my finest achievements. I had to find another way to fly Eggy to LA. So the two best airlines for pets at the time were Lufthansa and KLM. The problem was that would require me taking the very long route from Singapore to LA. So instead of 18 hours, it would take nearly 30 hours, including a stopover in either Frankfurt or Amsterdam. I chose Lufthansa after reading about their personalized service for all traveling pets. Although Eggy would be placed in a crate in the cargo hold, it was a temperature and noise controlled area. And during the layover in Frankfurt, Eggy was taken off the plane and transported to the airport pet hotel, where she was walked, given fresh water, and her crate was cleaned out and relined. This was first class service for her. So, of course, I was still a mess thinking about how she would hold up during the long trip. I didn't sleep at all during the 13-hour Singapore to Frankfurt flight. I had visions of Eggy trembling in her crate, not knowing what happened to her. So at the gate of the next flight to LA, I stared out the window, searching for any sign of Eggy being transported to the plane from the pet hotel. I was already sleep deprived, so I wasn't sure if I was hallucinating at the time. But then I suddenly saw an airport cart with one singular dog crate loaded on the back. The luggage handler stopped at the luggage ramp of the plane, our plane, and gently loaded the crate onto it. He then rode up the automatic ramp with Eggy, and then I witnessed the sweetest gesture. The handler, who was squatting next to Eggy's crate, stuck his fingers inside the crate to reassure her that all was well. I'll never forget that scene. So after another 13-hour sleepless flight for me, we finally landed in LA. I looked like and felt like I had been run over by a truck. But Eggy, on the other hand, looked as fresh as a daisy when she was brought off the plane, just as happy and bubbly as can be. That, even in my delirious state, made it all worthwhile. So the first year in Southern California was bliss for both of us. The climate was perfect, no more oppressive heat and humidity. The dog beaches were joyous. And most importantly, being close to my parents, Eggy's grandparents, after so many years on opposite sides of the world was comforting. But then came the most tragic day in all of our lives, just 1 year later. On September 12th, 2011, my father was killed by a 16-year-old driver in Irvine, California. The loss was profound for all of us, an unimaginable way to lose my father. Well, that night, my mom and I, not wanting to be alone, tried to sleep in the same bed at my parents' house, and Eggy was in the room as well. But she began crying and didn't stop. She cried all night and refused to even lie down. She knew something horrible had happened and could not contain her sorrow. It broke my already shattered heart even more to see my sweet Eggy girl so upset. In the following days, visitors came to the house to pay respects, including many of my father's Korean friends. One day, Dr. Chung walked in. He was wearing khakis, a common wardrobe choice of my dad's. Eggy ran up to Dr. Chung and put her head between his legs as if she thought her grandfather had come back. Dr. Chung was so moved, he wept. Eggy also took on the role of comfort dog, especially with my grieving mom. I remember seeing her silently crying while laying on the couch with her arm draped over her eyes. She thought no one noticed, but Eggy did. And she slowly walked over to her devastated grandmother and gently licked her hand. My mom returned the love and stroked Eggy's head. I had to turn away for a minute because the tears were streaming down my face. From the lowest of lows, Eggy was with me, and she was with me at the highest of highs as well. Though we were a happy little family, especially after the addition of her adopted little sister, Sugi, someone came into my life unexpectedly during the height of COVID-19. And to everyone's surprise, that man, Andre, became the one with whom I wanted to spend the rest of my life. But not before Eggy and Sugi approved, which they did. In fact, I formally asked Andre if he would be their daddy, and he happily accepted. But let's be honest, if he didn't, then our happy little family of three would have said, bye, Felicia. All right. So Andre and I officially got engaged in March of 2023. For me, that was the first time at the age of 57. Yeah, I took my sweet ass time. On October 7th, we had a beautiful engagement party with family and friends. Could not have asked for a better, more joyous way to celebrate. But the high was soon replaced with worry over Eggy. Her condition, which had been deteriorating over months, began declining very rapidly. She couldn't stand up without assistance. She would fall after a few steps. She would bark nonstop at night and day as if she was confused and uncomfortable. And at times, her dementia would seemingly take over her mind, body, and spirit. I was willing to do whatever it took to keep Eggy comfortable. I was already sleeping downstairs on the couch for a few weeks to be closer to her. But I knew her time was drawing closer. I just didn't want to accept it until I finally saw, just for a brief moment, a look in her eyes that told me I had to let go. It's truly the most painful part of being a pet parent, having to make that decision. Even though you tell yourself that it's in the best interest of your fur baby who is suffering, it doesn't ease the agony and the guilt. Eggy had survived so much in her nearly 16 years, the death of her grandfather, and of course, all of my life's dramas. How can I let my precious baby girl depart this earth and leave me behind? I wondered. The only solace I had when the time came was knowing that my dad, Eggy's grandfather, who adored her, was going to be waiting for her with open arms in heaven. So as Eggy went to sleep, I whispered through a flood of tears, "It's okay, sweet girl. Grandpa's waiting for you. He's there waiting for you. You can go now and be with him. You've been the best girl, the very best girl. Until we meet again, sweet Eggy, until we meet again." Dogs are the perfect creatures in a broken world. We don't deserve them, but they love us so unconditionally, so completely. Their only flaw is that they don't live long enough, and it breaks us to our core. And yet we do it again and again and again because they are the embodiment of perfect love. Eggy, I miss you beyond measure until we meet again. All right, welcome to the start of the episode, the normal episode. Welcome, everyone, and appreciate you guys giving me the time to do the in memoriam segment to my sweet, sweet Eggy girl. So yeah,
Eggy.
I know. It's it's only been a week and a half, and so it's still not
Fresh.
It's still raw.
It's a mighty big heart hole in your heart. So
It really is. It really is.
It takes a lot of time to fill.
Yeah, but she was the sweetest girl, and she almost made it to her 16th birthday. Her 16th birthday is October 30th. So she almost,
close.
Yeah, made it. And as I said in the memoriam, that's pretty damn good for a golden retriever because usually their lifespan is about 10 to 13 years.
Yeah.
So she was a fighter. She was such a fighter, just like her mommy. But anyway, but yeah, she's here with me now. I got her ashes, so she's back home.
That was actually quick. I think mine took a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I think you know what I found about this whole experience is that since I lost my last dog, which was in 2007, and that was in Singapore where he passed.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. I think things have really changed when it comes to pet sort of death.
The pet industry, the pet ethos.
Completely. They have all these if you want it done at your house, vet will come to your house.
That's how I had mine done, both of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then cremation, there are all these different options. And so it's really, it's kind of tells you how the family pets have truly are family members and treated as such. So it's pretty sweet. I got cards from my veterinarian, Chewy.com. Do you guys know that service, the pet service?
I use them. Yeah.
I love them. I called them to tell them to change my account, right? Because Eggy had passed. The very next day, they sent me a bouquet of flowers and a card.
Wow.
Delivered to my house. Delivered to my house the very next day.
That's amazing. What a beautiful service for such a huge company, right?
Exactly. And so I posted it because I was like, this is an example of a compassionate business who cares about their customers, right?
Yes.
And I posted that and they responded. They're like, we care about, our family and we know this is a terrible loss. We're here for you. I mean, seriously, I was blown away, actually.
Yeah.
Blown away. So, so it just goes to show that, our pets, our fur babies are our babies. And, I love the fact that people appreciate that and companies are, showing their empathy that way. So,
yeah. And so many people are choosing not to have children now and just having pets, right?
Exactly.
Dogs, cats, whatever.
I think we're all sort of in that category, aren't we?
Yeah,
exactly.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, our fur babies, we put so much love and compassion and emotion into them, right? That when we lose them, it hurts because we love so hard.
Well, you know what hurts the most, I think? Not just the loss. I think animals are such perfect creatures in a broken world. And, they don't want for anything. I mean, they just want to love you. They love you unconditionally. You could live.
Want food.
Well, they want food. That's true. That is true. They want food, but even if you live on the street or in a cardboard shack, they don't care what you have, what kind of house you live in, what kind of clothes you wear, what kind of car you drive. If you have a job or not. I mean, it is that kind of perfection that we should strive for. And I really do think that's why animals, especially dogs, for me, are heaven sent. They're here
Yeah.
to teach us a lesson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's everything is so
Well
true.
said.
What both of you have said. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
absolutely true.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well, okay, so let's move on. It's great to see you ladies, and I know there's been a lot going on in all of our lives. Kelly, you've been moving into your new house in Vegas.
I just moved on Saturday. That's why my background is once again different. I'm always moving about. I just moved to Vegas to be near my parents.
And how is it? I know moving can be so hectic and crazy, and I know you like tweaked your back because you were moving boxes, but
right.
I hear that the calvary came to your rescue in the form of
Oh
your
my
friends.
gosh. So they call Henderson specifically, Vegas in general, I guess, the ninth island, because people from Hawaii have just, moved into Vegas in droves. And so when I moved on Saturday, without even asking, I had 5 classmates, and one of them brought their husband, helping me move and unpack and receive all the boxes, and the whole house was so crowded. And these were all people that I graduated with my people from my graduating class, some that I hadn't seen since graduation. Wow. Some that I haven't seen in decades. I mean, and they just, without even asking, gave their times. A couple of them were on vacation. 2 of them were on vacation from Hawaii and Arizona. And they just came and spent the entire day helping me unpack and, helping me organize. And because they, everybody knew that I hurt my back too. Right. And then 3 of them already live here, but there's so many more of my classmates that actually live in Henderson, and so many more that have graduated from my school and just from Hawaii. Everybody's like, oh, I'll connect you with these people. I mean, I feel like I have such an amazing community here already.
Yeah. Wait, so
I
Kelly,
feel so well cared for.
I'm really curious though, why do so many Hawaiians move to Vegas?
So there was, back in the 80s, there was a company that used to charter flights to Vegas. So when you're from Paradise, where do you go to vacation? Right. You want to go where the action is.
Oh.
Right? And Hawaiians love to gamble.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's inexpensive to eat. They have Hawaiian food.
So there were companies that would charter flights from Hawaii to Las Vegas. There are hotels that in the downtown area,
California,
just to Hawaiians. Yeah. All of the menus, the food, the decor, all Hawaiian. They have a big happy Buddha outside the elevator that people can go rub the tummy before they go into the casino for good luck. I mean, very, very, they have Spam on the menu. Very Hawaiian.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the ninth island. It's the ninth island.
These hotels still do very well, and Hawaiians still go there and use these hotels all the time, frequent these hotels, because it's a very comfortable environment for them.
But I would just think that it's so different from Hawaii because there's no water, right?
No.
I mean, there's no beaches, none of that, right? So, but that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but Hawaii is so expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
So many locals
are being priced out of
leave. They just get priced out of Paradise.
Right.
And Vegas is considerably affordable compared to Hawaii.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many restaurants here. They just opened the Zippy's, which is our fast food chain.
Big news.
I would say it was like Denny's. It's more like Denny's.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, better than Denny's.
So much better than Denny's. Like local style Denny's, I should say.
Correct.
And but there's like all these sushi restaurants, all this local style food. So coming to Henderson for me is the next best thing to going back home to Hawaii.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? I would have never guessed that. So obviously No regrets. You're super happy. You made absolutely the right decision.
I've only been here since Saturday, so I have no regrets just yet.
Is it still blazing hot there, or is it getting cold at night? I mean, what is the weather for you?
That's what I to cool off. And I know I probably only have like 2 weeks of fall, and then it's going to be cold for me already. Too cold.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Oh, well, we can't wait for the housewarming party.
I can't wait for my house to be able to receive people. Right now, in back of this computer, it's a war zone out there.
No, it's gonna look amazing.
I hope that again, that for the SAG-AFTRA strike, that it goes on with, judiciously and righteously on behalf of the actors, and that it gives you more time because we're hearing this week that if they're not going to finish negotiations, it won't be done till January because rest through the holidays.
Close.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Tam, because I was curious about what you guys are thinking, because this is still dragging on. And apparently the talks this week have not been going that well again. I don't know what's happened today or what, but yeah, I mean, it's not looking great. So what's the feeling amongst the actors? And I mean, we're hearing it on the news and media, but not much.
I think people are getting angry at this point.
Angry at what though? Angry at what though? That's what I'm curious about.
At the negotiations, at both sides, really.
Okay.
I think a lot of actors are also getting upset with SAG for not moving this along faster. This is from what I hear from some of my friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
And the other side too, for digging their heels in and making people suffer. The lack of consciousness and humanity, right? Allowing people to lose their homes and starving, really.
And again, remember, we can't forget about all the other people affected outside of SAG-AFTRA and WGA, right?
It's not just actors.
I'm hearing about more and more restaurants closing down that are around the studios, but elsewhere too, because they're not getting their usual clientele.
People are just recovering from the pandemic.
And this time, remember, this time, these businesses do not have PPP loans or any government assistance because that's not what's happening this time around. So it's pretty ugly. I don't know, Tam, what are you hearing out there? And from
exactly the same thing that Kelly says. I think people are getting a lot. The frustration seems to be rising, and I think the studios are taking advantage of that and putting the clamps on because the timing issue is that they're saying they want to do it this week by the end of October, beginning of November. Because if it's not going to get done this week, it won't be. We will not come back to the table until after the holidays. Because, the producers can, but it's the actors, it's the supporting industries that are, again, it's asked to sacrifice. And being mindful about the writers having struck for 2 months longer than the SAG-AFTRA folks. But then our union is much larger, I think is another issue that we have to take a look at in terms of compassion. Thank God for all the A-list celebrities to donate whatever funds they can to supplement persons' incomes, but it's not enough. No. It's a serious time to demand equal. Or not equal, it's fair pay. It's fair, equitable, reasonable rates that go along with inflation, that go along with the revenues that are being collected from all these studios. That needs to be really recognized and put to the table and really hammered out. And really, it takes a lot of muscle, and it takes a lot of muscle from the rank and file, and that's what I feel most.
I'll tell you something. I mean, coming from a separate industry of media, but also academia, I just look at the way the world works and how unfair and imbalanced it is when it comes to equal pay.
Money and power.
And, some of these jerks, and I'm just going to say some of these douchebags in these positions of power, they're not doing shit, basically, hardly, okay? And they're just getting paid a gazillion dollars, right, to sometimes make horrible decisions, and then there's no recourse. And I'm just gonna use myself as an example. I'm in academia. I am making a difference directly in the lives of young people, right? I'm educating them. And my pay, I'm not gonna say what it is, but it is a pittance compared to what other positions in other industries would pay. And they're not, I'm like changing people's lives. And I'm like, where's the fairness, in this world when it comes to equity, when it comes to valuing what is important versus maybe what isn't as important. And that selfishly, I'm sharing this because it gets me really frustrated when I see power and money being handled and mishandled. Right.
I feel like as actors, as artists, we don't get a lot of compassion from other people, from the general public, because they feel like, oh, actors are so overpaid for what they do. Our work is not appreciated, and they feel like it's unimportant, But, people have to realize that the people who do get paid all those bucks are a very, 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 very small percentage of the people who are in the Screen Actors Guild. Out of 160,000 Screen Actors Guild members, only 4% make a living wage. Right. That's and a very small percent even qualify for medical
health insurance.
$30,000 just to qualify for medical.
Right.
I mean, so people are thinking, oh, they're actors. They already get paid too much anyway. They're not, compassionate to to our plight at the moment. But people need to understand that it's only a very, very small amount of actors who are so comfortable and are making those millions of dollars.
We are hearing that, in the narrative now, at least,
Oh yeah, I get those comments all the time.
I mean, because of course
you guys are so rich.
Right. The stereotype is that actors are spoiled. You guys are all like flying around on private jets and, living it up. But we know what the truth is. At least some of us do. But, here's the thing though, when it comes to acting, there's obviously other ways in which you can express yourself. And this is the segue, which is Tamlin. You are going to be in the theater very soon. I know. So let's just in case people don't understand the difference, right? You are allowed to perform in the theater because that is not part of SAG-AFTRA. Correct? Yes.
It's a different union. Yeah.
So
that would be equity. Yes.
Right. So Tamlin, we got to talk about this because it's coming up. Opening night is this Sunday, October 30th of Spring Awakening.
Yeah. When I posted it on social media, Kelly had said, "Oh my God, that's my favorite musical ever." And then I said, "If put to both Kelly and May, that opening would be on October 29th, but today we're recording this on October 26th. We preview our first audience is tonight, so we're doing this the shoes off with MKT is like, oh my God, I had 5 hours to get ready. Blah blah.
I know. That's why we're like, okay, we can do this quickly. But sorry, I got the date wrong. It's the 29th. It's Sunday. Is opening.
The 29th
night.
is Sunday.
Yes, which I will be attending. Yes.
Yeah, and we're opening and we're running through at least November the 19th. And it is Duncan Sheik and Stephen Sater's Spring Awakening. And if anybody does not know about Spring Awakening, my personal caution is that no adults allowed unless you remember what it's like to be an adolescent teenager with all its the spectrum of joy, of curiosity, of tragedy, of unknown.
So Tamlin,
Tamlin,
tell people who aren't familiar with Spring Awakening, the musical, what it's about. Why you're saying this?
So it's set. It's a musical based on a play, which is based on a book from 1890 Germany. Frank Wedekind. And it is about a group of teenagers who are in the middle of their teenage years and trying to find what love is, trying to find what sex is, trying to find out what this world is, being boys and girls, and then transitioning on to men and women without the recognition of what it means to be a teenager, just transitioning, finding about what it really literally means to touch my body, to touch me, to ask to be. So these are issues that a lot of parents, a lot of adults are going to have a hard time with, because it's depicted quite honestly and truthfully, but also it's set against really hardcore driving, literally and figuratively, rock and roll music. And the music is what sits with you, what lies with you. The lyrics remain in your head and your brain because it evokes the memories of what it means to be a teenager. And it just is a powerful release from this very strict, structured society that these kids intermittently can break out with, 21st century rock and roll songs. And these kids do deliver. And
I have questions.
Yeah.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all,
Kelly knows exactly what I'm talking about, because, you want to leave the audience going, what is she talking about? I think I have to go see it. Yes, come and see Spring Awakening.
I love this play.
Okay, so I've actually never seen it.
Yes.
So I can't wait to see it. But second, so one of my questions is, do you sing in it, Tam?
I sing in chorus. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, does Tamlin sing? I want to hear Tamlin.
I know that was
sing.
my first question too.
Yeah. Right. And then second question, or I should say first, that your husband, Daniel, is also in it.
Yes.
And you've done productions with him before, but what's it like to be in this production with him?
It's a joy. The idea that Daniel and I, are in this is together. Again, Daniel and I also performed in A Christmas Carol at South Coast Repertory, and I was asked to play his wife for one season it was during the end of COVID, but then we got COVID. But Spring Awakening. So Daniel and I play, the parts are adult female and adult male. So we don't have titles listed in the program of the play because we play a cast of characters that are influential and antagonistic or protagonistic in the play. And so
how many different characters are you doing?
Daniel, I believe, plays how many? I think he plays 7 and I play 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as an approach, as an actor,
yes,
because you know how you build backstories and all this character development.
Yes.
Now you got 5 times and 7 times the work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How do you take that on?
Well, I think that's why I love acting. I love the process, because that's where I get to be my nerdy self and dive into reading about, online and in books about 1890s Germany, specifically women, specifically about family, specifically about sexuality, specifically about religion, which is another thing that, is
my favorite part.
A big umbrella. So I get to read and dive into and kind of build in my head the given circumstances. What is this world? What is this scene about? What do I want? How do I want to make my other castmate feel in this scene? So it's Kelly, the work never ends. It's like, oh my God, why did I never think of that? Lace would not have been in her costume because lace was not invented. Or I would have, not been so modernistic in terms of hand gestures or, how I breathe. So it's ongoing. So particularly about doing little short. So the advantage is the scenes are short, but there are multiple appearances. So I have to keep track of that, keep the track of the story of this character and how she relates to the other characters in play.
Okay, so
5 times.
Yeah, exactly 5 times. Here's another question. East West Players, if people don't know, it's the longest running Asian American theater group in the country,
Yes.
theater
Yes.
of color. And I'm on the board. I've been on the board for several years now. So what East West Players tries to always do is take plays or musicals and
Yeah.
try to add a different twist. And oftentimes it's about representation and about trying to add color, literally and figuratively, right, to the piece of work. So in this case, because it's based on a book from, the 1890s and then turned into a musical that was on Broadway, and now at
Twice.
Yeah, and now at EWP with a cast of, mostly people of color.
Yes.
That's an interesting twist to the story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what should people expect in terms of that element, the usual EWP element, which does add a completely unique flair. And Tim Dang is directing, right?
Is coming back, the former artistic director of East West Players, for how many? I think he was artistic directors for 20 years, 10 years ago, before Snehal Desai took over. Right. I think the casting specifically with the color consciousness is an evolved piece of our conversation in what it means to cast appropriately, and it is based on talent. And I think before years ago that I even used to say that, casting should be colorblind and it's just about the talent. But in terms of seeing these specific faces of color, I recognize the depth and dimension of seeing those kinds of faces tell this kind of story, because the story is the element that is universal. But when you see an Asian face, when you see a Black face, when you see a Latina face, saying these words, I think those audiences who identify as Asian, Black, or Latina go, oh my God, I never realized that this reflects about me, because actually seeing me on stage saying these words from 1890s Germany, but I still am that kid. I still am that parent specific to this play. And the resonance of how that lives in a person, the conversations after the show is what important. It's like a short story that's already out in public already, that I got to bring my mom to one of the first rehearsals, I think in the first week. And I brought her and said, hey, Mom, this is the cast of Spring Awakening. Do you want to tell them how you taught me about sex? And my mom goes, oh, I didn't tell you about. Again, so many Asian families recognize that. And the fact that I'm sitting there with my mother with these young kids is like, it still happens. And it's like, yes, this is a topic that most parents, I think, have a difficult time relating to their kids, but it's probably one of the most important questions a person has to ask in living their own life. Where do babies come from?
Yeah.
And what is love? What is love and where do babies come from? Well, Billy, Jenny, they're kind of connected, and you're going to have to literally connect to have kids. So that's, that's the kind of power in
always connected.
Yeah. Always connected. Exactly. Best connected. So it's that kind of, that feeling to see, again, the power of being race conscious in terms of this play at East West Players, I think will deliver that kind of realization for a lot of folks that this relates to me because I literally see me on stage. And it's like, that's why TV film is like to put more people who represent not only Los Angeles or Hawaii or United States, but literally the world.
Yeah. And also having characters from different backgrounds, it allows for people to say, wow, race and religion, ethnicity do play a part in someone's identity in terms of how they're dealing with sexuality, or the talk.
And the resultant joy of discovering sexuality, but also there are other issues that are touched upon that create to this world of angst. And it's suffice it to say, angst is a German word. So it's like, oh yeah, how appropriate. Right. But the trauma of not addressing and being able to be free and open to discuss things of importance.
Are people going to be shocked during this? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Sticker shock warning. I'm not kidding. No adults allowed unless they really remember what it's like to be a teenager. It sounds funny, but I'm serious.
Okay.
Yeah, because be ready. Be ready for visceral reactions that we've already gotten and we haven't opened yet. Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, I love it.
I know.
I love it.
Kelly, sorry, I cut you off. You were going to say something?
I don't remember now.
She saw it. When did you see the original production, Kelly, or did you see the Deaf West production? Because they were both on Broadway. Or did you just
the original? Yeah. It was in New York. I saw it. It was fantastic. The music, everything is just so fun. And you know me, it's my favorite subject, sex. So.
I know it's time we do another sex episode. Oh, you know what? Speaking of sex, because that's what the musical is about. I would love to do an episode on male sexual issues. Right. We did it on females. Right. Because, we hear about all these conditions and things like that. And men don't often talk about, I want to know about the crooked penis syndrome.
You're watching too many of those commercials.
Exactly. That's where I got it from. I'm like, what is that? I want to know what that is. And anyway, I know I digress.
I can tell you what my idea is, but let's hear it from an expert.
But anyway, so Tamlin, let's go back to Spring Awakening for a second. Yes. What is it like for you to be back on stage? Because I know, Kelly, we've talked about this before amongst the three of us. Kelly, you absolutely say no fucking way would I ever do live theater.
I would have to be medicated. Yeah. I would have to be heavily medicated to be able to do it.
Okay. So for you, Tam, what is it about live theater that you love so much?
I think it's being able to, and we do it in film and TV, but in film and TV, we shoot out of sequence. So we could shoot the end first. And we, so we're always kind of, that's the discipline about being an actor for film and TV. You have to keep track about what you said, what you feel, what what you want in this scene, because it's going to thread in the correct order. So you have to know not only what you were wearing, but how you were feeling with saying, I love you.
Yeah.
Really meaning that I don't really love you. I'm just saying I love you because you said I love you to me. So I have to repeat it. But then at the end of the episode or at the end of the film, I really want to be able to mean I love you. And how do you get there? And that's the discipline of each and every actor.
Yeah, the emotional continuity is the most difficult part, right?
I bet.
Yeah, and you have to let it go. And sometimes it can happen in the same day. It literally can happen in the same day. But that is the discipline about being, saying, where am I? Who am I? Or not who am I? What am I saying here? And what do I want? So that's for film and TV. But being on stage is you get the advantage, you get the luxury and the privilege of being able to rehearse all the scenes. Yes, non-sequential order because it depends on the sets, costumes, blah, blah, blah. But when you start running the play from act one to the end, it feels so good because you really are actually telling the story.
Yeah.
So you're really driving
the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And you're taking the audience along, hopefully, with that recognition that you should also face the audience so they could see your face and say, oh my God. But it's the benefit of being able to be invested in the story and having it told from beginning to end. You don't do that in film and TV, and you don't get to see the results until months after. And it's like, oh shit.
And sometimes you look at yourself and you're like, oh, I made that mistake. Oh, shit.
Exactly.
Fix it. Right.
And it lives with you forever. And it's like, shit. But then, for stage, of course, the work never ends too, because I know at the end of the play, I'll go, why didn't I think of that? But it's the rigor it's the discipline about being able to go to the theater and run it through and say these words and go, oh my, I never thought about this. So, I get to say it this way. So it's
that's how you get to keep it fresh.
Yeah, you keep it fresh.
Right, right. But it is rigorous.
Alive. You keep it fresh and alive.
But it is rigorous because you have to do it every night. I mean, with East West Players, is it you do it four nights a week, or what is it?
So even though today is Thursday, we start previews today, but our running schedule will be Friday, Saturday, matinee and evening, Sunday evening, and then Monday evening to give theater persons a chance to be able to see it on a Monday night as well. Oh. And usually people want to figure out if they want to do something special and it's a Monday, the theater's open. So that's a new kind of shift in allowing theater patrons.
So you're doing 5 performances a week.
5 performances a week.
And how many weeks does this run?
Until the 19th of November.
So that's quite a few performances.
What are but in the meantime, I'm just going to quickly interject. Daniel and I will be absent November 10th, 11th, and 12th. 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. So November 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, Daniel Blinkoff and I will not be appearing because we're going to Washington, D.C. To be at David Ono's Defining Courage at the Kennedy Center.
Yeah, you can't miss that.
Veterans Day.
So that's
what we're doing. Yeah. So those tickets are at definingcourageshow.com, and Spring Awakening tickets are available at eastwestplayers.org.
Tamlin to me is all over the map. My God.
You are so hardworking.
I know. That's why
you are so inspiring.
That's why you couldn't come to my engagement party, because you were at some other event.
Yeah.
And
I'm
Kelly,
so sorry.
I was in Vegas.
You got stuck in Vegas.
I had no sleep the night before and I had to drive, and I was like, I cannot drive like this.
No.
It's a long drive to be doing 4 hours by yourself, and I cannot do it with 3 hours sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I decided to be safer.
You both had legit excuses, although I was very sad that my co-host was not at my engagement party, but that's okay.
Was it fun?
Yeah. Was it beautiful?
You know what? It was actually great. It was better than I expected. And I'll just briefly tell you that, I thought, okay, it's an engagement party, so I should have it at like a venue. And, so I checked out some venues. Of course, they were all booked up for a year in advance because of other people's weddings and events. And then those that were open or available, what they were charging was so ridiculous. And then you have a time limit, right? You have to get the fuck out, after 3 hours or something. And I was like, this is crazy.
Oh, yeah,
ridiculous. I can't believe people pay this amount of money. So, Andre and I were like, fuck it. We'll just have it at my house. We got a caterer, bartender, set up beautiful, outdoor setting, indoor setting. And we had about 55 people come, mostly local. I did not want people to fly in from everywhere, and come in because, it's an engagement. It's not a wedding. I didn't even invite my, beyond my immediate family, because I have so many relatives that it would have been 1,000 people if they all came locally. I have so many relatives locally. So my mom came, my brother and his wife, and then friends of mine and Andre's, and it was really great. We had a really great time. Everybody enjoyed themselves. And I will tell you, speaking of girlfriends, right? You were mentioning that before, Kelly, the importance of girlfriends. One of my closest friends was there. And at one point during the party, she pulls me aside. She's like, May, this is not your Christmas party. You need to make a speech. You need to introduce your mother and the rest of your family to everyone. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right. I had no plans on making a speech or anything like that. So I was like, oh shit, you're right. So we did that. I, thanked everyone, gave a little speech, introduced my mom, and then my brother spoke. Really, really heartfelt speech, made me cry. And then my girlfriends from college started speaking. And then it just turned into this fun little sharing, moment. So it was very organic, which is what I love.
Wait, did anybody speak on Andre's behalf?
No. I felt so bad. Afterwards, I'm like, what the hell with your friends? Nobody spoke up. And he's like, I know. He's like, don't think I didn't, notice that. I'm like, well, that kind of sucks for you.
Wow.
May love fest is what it was.
It was kind of a May love fest, yeah. But it was one of those things where all my girlfriends were just so happy, for me that I had met this man, and because they've known me for so long, and so
they're like, finally.
Oh, my brother even said that. He's like, my mom and I have talked about it over the years and saying, well, she's come close a couple times, and people just started cracking up, but it didn't happen, but we were okay with it, so he sort of gave that like brief history, but no, it was a lovely party. It was a lovely way to celebrate. It was perfect because it was just casual. It was not anything formal.
I think that's so smart though. I think it's so smart to have a casual setting at the home. I was just at another engagement party at somebody's house.
Yeah.
And I think that it's, you want to save the big stuff for the wedding.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to diminish the wedding in any way.
No.
And you don't want to spend all that money. Like you were saying, venues. Right, it's ridiculous.
No.
And people just want to be there to celebrate you.
We had a great caterer.
They need a whole formal dinner or whatever.
No. We had a caterer who passed around canapes, and we had like a little spread on the table. And then there was a great little bartender outside. But that was it. I mean, it was just an enjoyable evening, and it kind of went on for much longer than I thought it would. Andre's friends,
of course, because there's free drinks.
Well, yeah, the drinks were pouring for sure. But a couple of Andre's friends who were in the biz, they're also like in production. They were just so excited to get together because they hadn't seen each other in a long time. So like eight of his crew members came, but 2 of them stayed until like 2:00 in the morning, and I was just like, get the fuck out. Because the party started at 6.
Oh my God.
Yes.
So I like that though. I love when people stay long hours. I'm like, you know what? Just
have
pull
fun.
out a pillow, grab a blanket.
Exactly.
That's my house is always open.
Ultimately, that's how I felt, because also it was just such a joy to see Andre and his friends get together after, because everyone's on strike, so they hadn't seen each other, they hadn't worked.
Yeah.
And nobody has to work the next morning.
Yeah, exactly. But that was really nice to kind of see them together, and just kind of let out their frustrations about what's been going on and just have a really good time and celebrate. So yeah. You were very missed, both of you, but we'll have to wait for maybe the wedding or
the big nuptials. Yeah. We're so sorry.
And you haven't set a date. You're not going to.
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
But we'll figure it out. So. But anyway.
So this might be the big party. You might be engaged forever. I know people who have been engaged for over 10 years.
I mean, I'm not adverse to the idea, to be honest. Again, I'm 57. I don't really need to be getting married for any legal reasons. I mean, sure, maybe a bit of a tax break, things like that. But, it's not like we're trying to have children or I need financial assistance or anything like that. So it's just one of those things like, do we want to formally do it, or is engagement enough? And so that's kind of something that I asked myself, actually. He's kind of either way because he's been married before. So it's not like he feels the need to do it. Yeah. For me, there's still a part of me that I think that I would like to be married. But let's see. We'll see. Yeah. My mother was super happy though. She was so cute. She was like meeting all my friends were going up to her and like talking to her. It was very sweet. So I think she was really happy too. So it was
I think our moms just want us. They just want the security of knowing that when they're gone, there's going to be somebody there to take care of you.
Take care of their little girl. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And thank God she does love Andre probably more than me now. So that's a good thing. Yeah. But
that's
anyway.
a good sign.
It is.
That's really good sign.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, my mother loves Daniel more than me, for sure.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
So
he makes her laugh every time. Yeah. So curious. Yeah, he's so curious about her.
Well, good.
I love that. Funny guys rank super high on my list.
And you know what? Funny guys, but also kind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Kind.
Funny and
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and that is Andre for sure. So, all right. Well, is there anything else we need to catch up on before we say farewell? Because I know that Tamlin has to get off to go to preview soon.
Is Kelly going off anywhere exotic, and fun,
I know.
and exciting? I know. It's like, where are you off to now?
Vegas is as exotic as I need to be at the moment.
Okay.
I have so much work to do.
Oh my God.
I've been invited places. I'm turning things down left and right because I'm so how do you say, OCD, that having my house a mess like this drives me crazy.
nuts. Yeah.
I cannot think. I cannot operate. I feel emotionally just stressed.
Yeah.
So everybody's like, the good thing is you can take your time. You don't have to rush. There's no timeline. I'm like, no.
You can't do that.
I got to do it right now. I got to do it right now, or I cannot think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, I'm not trying to rush off anywhere anytime soon. And I just want to get this done before the holidays.
Are you going to the Zippy's opening?
They open already.
Oh, it's open already?
Yeah, no, they're
Do
open.
they have a whole thing?
Yeah, from what I understand. Yeah. But
Oh.
for some reason, there's a strike, a culinary strike here. And so for some reason, they were picketing in front of Zippy's from what I heard, because a friend of mine wanted to order from there and he saw all the people picketing. He was like, nope, I'll go order someplace else.
Is it far away from you, Zippy's?
I don't know yet.
Oh.
I have not had a meal outside.
You really?
Yet.
Oh my God. So you really
I'm
are
so focused.
Home. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just ordering food in, which I never do, by the way. Do you know, I have never, I realized the moving day that my friends, all this work and they hadn't eaten and somebody ordered pizza. And I was like, how do you do that?
No, shut up.
I never ordered pizza in my life.
No, wait, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
What?
Sorry?
How is that possible that you've never ordered pizza?
Because I just, it's not a thing that I think of ordering. If I'm going to order food, it's always going to be like Asian food.
Wow.
At the most. And I rarely ever order in. I'm always cooking.
I mean,
I'm much to cook my own food and have something very simple than order in, because the Chinese part of me, I shouldn't say that. That's racist. It's racist. The frugal part of me.
The frugal part, yes, we are all frugal. Yes.
Okay. And I get it. You're keeping people in business, but there's a lot of other people who can keep them in business. But I am not the kind of person who likes to order in. I like to either go to the restaurant or I like to make food.
I hear you.
And you probably grew up that way as well.
Oh, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. My mom, I cannot remember a time when my mother ordered pizza either.
You know what? I don't either, actually. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started ordering pizza when we could drive.
Oh.
When the kids learned how to drive. My mom didn't know.
You would order it and then go pick it up.
Yeah, go order and pick it up, but never delivered.
I've done that. I've done that a few times.
Yeah, but that's exactly. Yeah. That's not delivered. Yeah.
But you know what? I'm giving you shit. I don't order in a lot at all either, because I'd rather just grab something that I already have, in the fridge.
Also, I like cooking because I know what's going into my meal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, generally, right? I mean, you never know what's really in your food, but I like to know that I'm eating healthy as possible.
Yeah.
I like to know what ingredients I'm using. I like to keep it healthy.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, but once in a while.
And good luck with the rest of your allaying your OCD-ness and getting your house in order.
I know. But if you need an organizer, like if you need a professional organizer, one of my best friends in LA is one of the best organizers. She gets hired by Will Smith and Queen Latifah.
I already know I cannot afford her.
No. She would since you're my friend, she would give you a good rate. But she's very good.
Yes.
She's very good at what she does. But anyway,
because I just realized, even though with all my closets and moving into a house more than twice the size of my condo, I have nowhere to put my shoes.
Oh.
I have no shelves. But you know what? I kind of want to buy a power saw and just build shit myself.
Yeah. Hey,
I love
maybe
a
we
good
should do
project.
an episode
Do it,
on
do
like DIY. Like, how do you do DIY stuff? Because I would love to
How
be
did Kelly
handier.
miss her fingers? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it,
Without
do it,
injuring
do it,
yourself.
do it, do it.
Yeah, do it. Exactly. Okay.
I know. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Takes
Well,
time though, yeah.
you know
And
what?
less.
I will offer, if you do need help, I will come one weekend to visit and help you. So,
By the way, if either one of you don't come to visit me, I'm going to be so mad. I'm never going to talk to you guys again.
oh,
You
fine.
have to come and visit me.
Wait,
Yay.
yes, we will. We will. But boy, that's quite a threat. Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're on. We're okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to sign off because Tammy has to now get off to the theater.
To the theater soon.
For the
Yes.
I
preview.
cannot wait to see
I
Oh,
can't
I
wait.
cannot wait to see you
I'm so
guys. Thank
excited.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
thank
I'll
you,
see
thank
you on Sunday for opening
Yes,
night.
for
So
sure.
that will be
For
very
sure.
exciting. And then Kelly will soon follow after that. Maybe we'll come together again. I'm sure I'll probably want to see it again. So
Yeah. Okay.
all right,
Alrighty.
ladies. Good to
Thank
see you.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
break a leg,
Aloha.
break a leg,
Aloha.
Tamlin. Aloha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.